Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you are a returning viewer, then hi, and if you are a new viewer, then welcome. My name is Mel and I am a yarn dyer living on the Orkney Islands off the north coast of Scotland. And today I'm going to be talking about my garment sewing plans for the near future. A couple of them I've kind of started, and that I've started to cut out the pattern pieces or even started sewing them, and others I've kind of been in the queue, in the line for a while now, but I'd really like to do more garment sewing this year. And even if I don't get through them all, at least I can make a bit of a headway in it and get a few more pieces in my wardrobe. So I have, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4 dresses maybe, and I have one item for my husband even in amongst this pile too. So I think we'll start, what shall I start with? I think I'll start with one of the dresses. So I have had this pattern for a while, and it is the Nina Lee dress. No, it's not. It is the Q dress by Nina Lee, and this one doesn't have a photo for the dress, but as you can see, it is a full button-down dress with a v-neck and some detailing on the shoulders. The pictures, and I might be able to put a picture up on the screen here, it's very much like a kind of a 90s button-down knee-length dress, but it has these vintagey details to it with the gathers on the shoulders here and on the top of the sleeve. And yeah, so I really liked the design of this, and some of the people who had made it I've seen all the projects of. It's really nice. The fabric I've decided to use is this burgundy fabric. It's not as bright as it's showing up on camera. It's definitely more of a dull, kind of a dusky, like a dusky light burgundy. And it is a cotton wool blend. I think it's an Italian fabric. It's 20% wool, 80% cotton. So it's got a bit of weight and drape to it, but at the same time it's quite it's not thick, it's not heavy, so it'll be a nice dress even in the summer, especially where I live on an island here. We don't get warm summers. We get warm summers, we don't get hot summers, so I think it'll be really nice for the warmer weather, and it'll be perfectly fine as well at like this time of year, where with a sweater over the top of it. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to having this in my wardrobe. Although I haven't chosen any buttons for any of these projects that I have lined up. I have some vintage ones from my Nana's old button tin, but if I can't find something perfect, I'm sure I can find something elsewhere. Actually, I should probably show you. I kind of have these, they're like a heavy, I don't know if they're not quite card, but they're heavier than a paper, somewhere in between kind of document wallets. And I have the pattern pieces printed off, and for some of these patterns I actually have them already cut out for the right sizes. This one, the pattern pieces are cut out, which means it shouldn't take me too long, because the thing with sewing a garment, and I can knit a garment for several weeks and not worry about how long it's going to take, but for some reason I can't get it out of my head how long it takes to sew a project, even though it takes a lot less time than knitting a project. I think it's all the big prep work steps you have to do first. So you think, oh, I want to sew this item, but oh sorry, before you do that you need to choose the size you want and make sure all the fittings work and grade it if you need to. Then you got to cut out your pattern pieces and make adjustments, and that takes ages. And then you've got to cut out all your fabric pieces, which again takes ages, to make sure you've got all the patterns lined up, or the naps going in the right direction, or whatever. And by the time you've done all this, it's like 1 or 2 days later, and I run out of steam quite quickly, and by then I've had enough, and it gets put aside for time before the actual sewing gets done. So the fact that the pattern pieces are already cut out for this is a big bonus. And all I do with these is print off a picture and a size chart or something along those lines for the front, This one didn't have a photograph, it just has the, I'm not sure, the kind of outline pictures. So that's what I printed on this one. That is project number 1. So sticking with the burgundy theme, I have more burgundy fabric here. Again, it's looking really bright and berryish on camera, and they're not. They're very much dusky, like burgundy. But this fabric is a waffle fabric that I picked up years ago. I have no idea. Oh, it's covered in bits of fluff. This is what happens when you live with cats and things like that. It is a waffle fabric, like a fine waffle type of fabric. I have no idea what it is because since I've had it for ages, I think it's some heavy cotton. It feels cottonish and it's quite heavy. And I also have some stretch, I don't know what you call this, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the thing, the rib stuff, the stuff you use for cuffs and waistbands on like a sweatshirt, and that's kind of what this is going to be. Not a sweatshirt as such, but it is going to be kind of a sweatshirt cardigan, and that is the Marlowe sweater. And it is supposed to be a cropped, kind of a wide button band, very relaxed fit cardigan, and you can have it cropped or you can have long, and there's pockets as well. And this is a true bias pattern. And yeah, I plan to make, I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to do, oh, we're out of focus. I'm not sure if I'm going to do cropped or longer length, but the pockets, I'm just not sure. I guess it depends on how much fabric I've got and how far I can get it to stretch. Not literally, but how far I can get the fabric to go. So that's more burgundy, and yeah, the Marlowe sweater. Next we have a dress, and it is a kind of a part done project. It is the Zero Waist Gather Dress by Birgitta Helmerson. Is that right? Helmerson. I think that's right. The Zero Waist Gather Dress. And I have made a blouse version of this before, and without all the gathers, and I am going to be making a dress version with not as many gathers, like half as many gathers, because this is very, very oversized and voluminous. And I will be making the version that she has where there is the option to make gathered sleeves, so my sleeves will gather sort of mid forearm or thereabouts. I have actually started this, but this is some of the fabric that I am using. It is like a sateen almost cotton with these beautiful watercolour flowers on it, and the colour's actually showing up really true on camera for this fabric. It is a dark, kind of a dusky blue, and yeah, I really love this fabric. The design on it anyway. The fabric itself feels quite cold, so I think it'll definitely be more of a summer style dress rather than a winter one. And the only thing that's kind of put me on pause when I was doing it is I want to put pockets, obviously, in the sides, and the instructions for inserting the pockets seems a little confusing. The instructions seem to be slightly different to what the picture instructions are showing. So I will be following, there was a video where somebody made this on YouTube, and following her kind of instructions on how she did the pockets. It's just that at the time I was making the dress and had paused, I had too many things going on around to be able to concentrate on that. So I need to get back and get this done, because in reality it would probably only take me an afternoon to finish it, or to the point where I would need to do the buttons and the buttonholes. That I will need to figure out what I'm going to do, because I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do real buttonholes or whether I'm going to just put buttons on and it be actually sewn up so that it can't kind of unbutton. I'm not sure yet, so I'm just playing it by ear. The other thing I'm changing is the button band and the neckband are very wide. I think it's about well, it's over an inch, or it came up over an inch on the blouse. I think it was about 1.5 inches, and it's just too wide, and it makes the fit a bit strange. So I will be adjusting that too, and also how high up the buttons are supposed to fasten to. My other part done project, and if you followed my Vlogtober videos, you would know this project is a autumnal dress that I started using this fabric, which is a flannel in a orange and a navy blue, and they're quite fairly large checks. You know, they're not like ditzy print or anything like that. Well, ditzy print is a big flowers, but you know what I mean, it's not like small print. And I'm using 2 patterns combined for this one. So I'm using, which one am I using? I'm using one of these. I think it is this version of New Look K6340, which came with a magazine. But the fit itself is really simple, in that it's got, I would say, princess seams, but it hasn't. It's just the way the darts are, but it does have a nice kind of flare to it, which I'm using. But the neckline I'm changing to use this is not going to show very well because it doesn't show very well in the picture, but I'm using the collar neckline of the penny dress from, is it Colette? Yeah, Colette Patterns. It has a collar on it, and I've made the penny dress twice, so I know what the fit is like. So I have made kind of I've graded the pattern for this. I've added a piece of paper, tissue paper, and used this and combined the patterns to make a collared shirt style plaid dress with this fabric. And I have cut out most of the pattern pieces for this. The only thing that was holding me back was that I was cutting out pockets and realised I couldn't cut out the rest of the pockets until I cut out the sleeve pieces, so that I knew how much fabric I had left. And the sleeves I was unsure of, because the sleeves on the penny are quite narrow. They're quite narrow for my large arms anyway, and I didn't want them to be too snug. Also, they're short, so what I've done, I haven't got it to hand, but I have a cotton shirt. It's quite a fitted cotton shirt that I am using the sleeve measurements to adjust the sleeve pattern pieces on this. So I want them to have a good couple more inches ease on the sleeves because the shirt is quite fitted, and to work out what the length I want them to. So I still have the sleeve pieces to grade, and then I can, I can't think what I was going to say, I can cut out the pieces for the sleeves and then the pockets, and then it's just away we go. In fact, I think I've sewn the shoulder seams on the front and back pieces, so I'm just kind of waiting to get that finished. Next, I have kind of 2 patterns in one, using some black corduroy in kind of a medium needle cord. It's relatively lightweight. It's certainly, it's got drape, but it's not overly heavy. And I want to make a skirt and a pinafore dress. So the skirt I'm using is a very simple pattern, and again another New Look pattern, and it is number 6710. And I'm going to be making this version, which I have made a muslin of before, so I know fits quite well. Excuse me. And again, I'm just going to be making a black corduroy skirt with that. And I had a limited amount of this fabric, and I wanted to make a dress and a skirt. So I worked out that I did have enough fabric and the nap going in the right direction and all that. So the skirt is going to have an slightly elasticated waist at the back, but flat at the front. And because of my limit on fabric, what I've done is I was going to make the back in 2 pieces and just seam it down the back and have a flat front skirt. But then I thought, well, I could reverse that, and mostly because I couldn't figure out how to do the elastic waist and have the seam in at the back, and it was just going to be bulky and a faff. So instead I'm going to have the flat at the back, the two pieces at the front, and I'm actually going to do a button down front, like a traditional button down front skirt. And I plan to do scoop pockets, kind of like you can see in this version, but they won't be external, they'll be internal pockets, because I do like a front scoop pocket on a structured skirt or a dress. In fact, I did that with both of my penny dresses, as I put these scoop front pockets in the skirt of the dress because it had a separate bodice to a skirt. I was able to do that. So I'm going to make a skirt out of this, and then for the dress I'm going, if I can find the other pattern, I'm going to use the skirt again, the same skirt from that, but I'm using the top from a pattern I used to make my wedding dress. How long ago is that? Ooh, 13 years ago? 14 years ago this year. But I made, which one did I make? I made it sleeveless, so I don't think it really matters. But I made this very much Lord of the Rings style dress with princess seams, long big trainee skirt, did all of that. Only thing I didn't do is I didn't have sleeves. It was sleeveless. And what I plan to do is I have taken the bodice section pattern from this, the sleeveless section, and I'm going to add it on to the skirt pattern. So it'll be princess seamed at the top, or dart anyway, and hopefully it'll come out quite well, and it's one that I can wear over like a long sleeve top or just underneath a sweater or whatever. So hopefully 2 projects. Next up, I actually have a project I would like to make for my husband, and it is a shirt. In fact, it is a, I don't know what sort of, I can't put that, it's called a Henley style shirt. That's the one, a Henley shirt, which basically means the button down at the front only comes down part way. It doesn't go up all the way to the bottom of the shirt, part way. And yeah, I'm not sure whether it will have a collar or not yet. I will have to ask him what his preference is, but it also depends on how far my fabric will go. The pattern itself is Burda style 7525, and the fabric I plan to use is a brushed, heavyweight brushed cotton. To be perfectly honest, it reminds me of snooker table fabric. That's really bad. It's not as heavy, but that's kind of what it feels like. It kind of is the same colour as well. So I'm hoping once it's actually made into a shirt it doesn't look too bad, but if nothing else it'll be a wearable muslin, a heavyweight wearable muslin. But yeah, a shirt. I have no buttons sorted for it yet or anything, but I will come to work that out when I come to it. I have to apologise, the lighting is really strange in here today. It was quite bright when I was setting up, but we've got a lot of heavy cloud up above and kind of the sun peering out from underneath the clouds, because it never really gets above, well, a very low level in the sky up here at this time of year, so the light can be a little bit strange, so apologies for that. So next up we have a vintage pattern, which the outside packet has seen better days. It is style pattern 3601, and the outside looks terrible because it had some water damage. The pattern side is fine because when this got water damage the pattern was not in it. I have made this before, and it's an unusual construction in that it has princess seams that only come part way down because the pattern is made all in one. There is one piece for the front and one piece for the back, and they are cut on the fold. You can kind of see that a little better on the diagram at the back. So you have one, I'm reading this in the camera, is that the front or the back? Right, so that is the back and it's cut on the fold, and that is the front and it's cut on the fold, and the darts are kind of included in it. And then it has separate pieces for the straps that go over the shoulder. The problem with the pattern, I have made this one before, and I'm not sure what happened to it. I think it got took to the charity shop at some point, is that the straps fall down all the time. So what I did was I actually unpicked the straps, because they kind of go from the front, they're all one piece up to here, and then there's an extra bit that attaches on and comes down the back, is that they slip down all the time. So I detached them again here, and I moved them both towards the center, which did fix the problem, but it didn't look very good. So my plan is to do it again, but I will change the back. I think the front might be okay, but the back certainly to a bit more of a solid back, like you would on a regular bodice for a dress anyway. And the fabric I'm thinking of using is this very fine needle cord fabric in a black with these gorgeous kind of dusky coral, dark dusky coral flowers. They're slightly brighter on camera, but it is more of a dull dusky kind of a rose colour, more like that all over rather than the bright that you can see there. And I love this fabric. I'm really looking forward to being able to wear this in dress form. I'm not sure how much I actually have of this, because that pattern actually doesn't take up a lot of fabric. Because you're kind of cutting it out in, I don't think I have I often put a sticker with the measurements of the fabric on the fabric, but I haven't on this one. I think there's 2 meters, possibly there might be 3 meters of that, either that or it's very wide. Because you're cutting it out on the fold, both the front and the back, you're not kind of having to fit lots of dress pieces onto one piece of fabric, so it actually doesn't use as much fabric as you would expect. The fabric that I used for the last one didn't take up much at all, so I'm hoping I have plenty, and hopefully it'll look alright when I've changed everything up a bit. But next up I have the Addison top. I can't remember if this is actually a Colette or a Seamwork design, but since they're kind of the same company, as well they're not, but you have to join Seamwork to get the Colette patterns, or some of them anyway. I cannot remember which one it is, and it doesn't say on this picture. It is a very simple top with a little, I would say a Peter Pan collar, but it's not, because it's quite a pointed one. And it's supposed to have facing for the top bodice section, and it has just some simple darts. It's just a basic simple top. I'm not 100% sold on the quite cutting in arm sides. I might have to just whip up a quick muslin to double check those, because I'm not 100% convinced how they're going to fit. I've had to change my camera settings because the light is getting even stranger. It's a good job we're onto the last pattern. So I have 2 fabrics I would like to use for this, depending on how the first one comes out. So first up is a very simple marled charcoaly brushed cotton fabric, and I don't have very much of this, which is why I've chosen to do the Addison, because it is such a simple design. Because it is such a simple design, it doesn't use up a lot of yardage. There isn't a lot of pattern pieces for the top itself, so I'm hoping that there is enough fabric to do an Addison, even if it's a cropped one. I'm hoping it doesn't need to be cropped, because these are tops I would like to be able to wear with a skirt. Again, apologies for the light, it's gone very, very strange. It's pitch black out the front of that window, and over here it's really bright. So yeah, we're nearly there though. And the other fabric, which is kind of a potential for this pattern or something similar, maybe without the collar, maybe a little more of a round or a v-neck design, is this gorgeous double gauze fabric in a mustardy yellow colour with these little black feathers all over it, and I really, really like this fabric. I've never actually sewn with double gauze, and I suspect I will have to hand sew this because I think my machine will absolutely hate it. It is quite temperamental, and yeah, I have a real love-hate relationship with my sewing machine. It hates lightweight jersey fabrics. I have some to make a top, and last time I tested on a piece of scrap fabric, it just hated it. It will not sew it, and I don't have an overlocker, so I'm not sure whether to stabilize where I'm going to be seaming with, I don't know, lightweight interface, which I can then rip off. I don't know. I haven't done any research on this, but surely there must be a way of being able to stabilize fabric, stretchy fabrics, to be able to run them through a regular sewing machine and be able to just kind of like, I don't know, sticky back tissue paper or something you can rip off at the end once you've actually, I have no idea. So if you have any ideas for me on what I can do to stabilize a lightweight, stretchy jersey fabric with a regular sewing machine and not have the tension go all to pot and not sew and just leave massive gaps, that would be really, really helpful, and pop them in the comments, please. But that is everything. Everything I have planned. Well, it's not everything. There's a couple of other things, but they're kind of not priority. For example, the brushed cotton plaid shirt. If that works out well, I have the same yardage of another fabric, the same fabric with a black and red plaid instead. So I would love to make a kind of a winter version that I could wear at, like, hang around at Christmas time, that sort of thing. It'd be really nice. I could make a Christmas dress, but that all depends upon the autumnal one, which I hope will actually be finished in time for this autumn, which would be really good. So I think I'm going to leave that here for today because this light is not improving, and I will hopefully see you on the next episode. Bye bye.